Section 1. The Invasion and Humanity's Defiance, 1,500 words. The sky split open at dawn. One moment, the horizon was a muted tapestry of gold and violet. The next, it writhed with the angular silhouettes of the Galactic Armada. Ships the size of mountains descended in eerie silence, their hulls shimmering with light that seemed to drink the sun rather than reflect it. Across Earth, phones lit up emergency alerts. But Lieutenant Commander Elias Varga didn't need a notification to know the world had just ended. He stood on the deck of the USS Liberty, gripping the rail as the first alien vessel eclipsed the sky over San Francisco. His knuckles whitened. This wasn't a drill. In Moscow, General Anya watched the same nightmare unfold on satellite feeds. The Kremlin's war room buzzed with panicked voices, but her own remained steady. "Activate perimeter protocol," she ordered. The system, a relic of Cold War paranoia, was never meant for extraterrestrials, but it would have to do. Across the planet, silos opened, warheads armed. The aliens didn't bother with demands. Their first strike vaporized Beijing in a flash of blue fire. No explosion, no debris, just a city erased, as if plucked from reality by God's indifferent fingers. The message was clear. Resistance is delusion. Elias's earpiece crackled. "All units, this is NORAD. Hostiles are..." The transmission dissolved into static. He turned to his crew, their faces slick with sweat under the sickly glow of the alien ships. "Load the railguns," he said. "Aim for the underbelly. If they got shields, they're weakest there." A junior officer stammered. "Sir, the Pentagon just surrendered." Elias didn't flinch. "Then with the Pentagon now." Anya's fingers flew over a console. The aliens were jamming signals, but she spent a decade hacking hardened systems in Syria and Ukraine. She rerouted through a chain of civilian satellites, stitching together a fragile network. When she patched through to the Liberty, Elias's voice was a snarl. "Who the hell is this?" "Someone who hasn't surrendered," she replied. They had no time for introductions. Anya fed him targeting data. Elias fired. The railgun round streaked upward, a speck against the monster's hull, and struck true. The alien ship shuddered, a flicker in its light. Then, impossibly, it listed a port. A cheer erupted on the Liberty S deck. But the victory was short-lived. The Armada's response was a storm of needle-thin drones, descending like metallic rain. Elias barely had time to shout brace before the first hit. The Liberty S deck buckled. Fire swallowed the stern. On the edge of the chaos, a figure watched. Dr. Lien, an astrophysicist whose warnings about cosmic radio patterns had been laughed out of NASA, stood atop a Tokyo skyscraper, gripping a makeshift antenna. The aliens weren't just invading, they were listening. She decoded their scans. They weren't hunting soldiers. They were searching for something buried deep in Earth's crust. As the Liberty burned, Elias dragged his wounded crew into lifeboats. Anya's voice crackled in his earpiece. "They're not here for territory. They're digging." Lien's device beeped. A signal, pulsing from the planet's core. The aliens' drone suddenly veered away from the ships, streaking toward the Pacific, toward the Mariana Trench. Elias spat blood. "What the hell's down there?" The sky darkened. The Armada's mothership, a jagged monolith, began to descend. Key elements achieved asterisk. Characters introduced asterisk: Elias, defiant naval commander; Anya, ruthless strategist; Lien, brilliant outsider. Central conflict asterisk: alien invasion plus humanity's scrappy resistance plus mystery of Earth's hidden value. Cliffhanger asterisk: a shift toward the Mariana Trench hints at a deeper plot, urging readers to continue. Economy asterisk: no extraneous details. Every line serves character, conflict, or mystery. Let me know if you like adjustments in tone or pacing. The chamber of the Galactic Council was never meant for panic. Its walls, carved from the living crystal of a dead star, had witnessed a rise and fall of empires without so much as a tremor. But now, the air thrummed with something unfamiliar, uncertainty. High Chancellor Zelthra, his amphibious skin flushed a deep violet, watched the holographic feet of Earth with all four eyes unblinking. The human warship's railgun strike had been a pinprick against the Armada's might. Yet it had worked. That shouldn't have been possible. "Explain this," Zelfra hissed, his vocal sac inflating with each syllable. The projection shifted to display the wreckage of the dread maw. Its underbelly, scorched with a primitive projectile, had pierced its shielding. Science Primus Vora, her exoskeleton clicking in agitation, manipulated the data streams with delicate claws. Their weaponry is millennia behind ours, but their tactics, they targeted the shield harmonics resonance point. A 1 in a million shot. She paused. Or prior knowledge. A murmur rippled through the council. Prior knowledge meant Earth had been contacted before. Meant the quarantine edict had been violated. On the far side of the chamber, Emissary Crix, a spine mercenary from the outer fringes, leaned forward, his voice a gravel growl. "Irrelevant. Glass the planet and be done with it. The edict exists for a reason." Zelfra's gills flared. The edict, the oldest law in the cosmos. Earth is forbidden, no colonization, no contact, no exceptions. But the reasons have been lost to time, buried in archives even the Council feared to open. Until now, on what was left of the USS Liberty, Elias Varga pressed a bloodied bandage to his temple and squinted at Anya's grainy feed. The woman's face was all sharp angles and colder fury, her voice cutting through the static. "They're pulling back." "Bullshit," Elias muttered. The sky was still thick with ships. But she was right. The drones had broken off, streaking toward the ocean. "Why?" Anya's fingers flew over her keyboard, pulling up seismic scans. "They're converging on the Mariana Trench. Something's down there, and they're terrified of it." A new voice crackled over the comms, breathless, fraying at the edges. "It's a beacon." Lien Wen's words tumbled out between gasps. She was running, the sound of alien drones whining in the background. "I traced their scans. They're not just digging. They're listening. The signal's been buried for 12,000 years, but it's waking up." Elias's gut tightened. "What the hell is it?" Lien's reply was swallowed by a roar of static. The feed died. In the council's chamber, Vora's claws froze over the hologram. Deep in the Earth's crust, something had pulsed. A frequency that made the crystal walls shiver. Zelfra recoiled. "That's impossible. The Devourers were eradicated." Crix's spines bristled. "Then why does their beacon still sing?" The council erupted. The Devourers, the ancient scourge that had once eaten galaxies whole. The reason for the edict. Earth wasn't just a backwater, it was a tomb. And humanity had been living atop it like children playing on a live warhead. Vora's voice sliced through chaos. "The humans don't know. They've been digging up relics for centuries, calling them myths. But if the beacon activates fully, then the Devourers return." Zelfra finished. The chamber fell silent. Crix bared his teeth. "So we kill the humans before they wake it." "No," Vora's claws clenched. "They're the only ones who've ever fought the Devourers and won. Their ancestors buried the beacon. We need them." Zelfra stared at the feed. The human warship, broken but still afloat. The general, stitching together a resistance from scraps. The scientist, running toward the signal instead of away. For the first time in millennia, the Galactic Council was not the most powerful force in the room. Key elements achieved asterisk. Conflict escalation asterisk. The Council's fear of Earth's hidden past raised the stakes beyond simple invasion. Character depth asterisk. Zelfra's dread, Vora's curiosity, and Crix's bloodlust to find factional tensions. Mystery revealed asterisk. The Devourer's beacon ties humanity's survival to a galactic-scale threat. Cliffhanger asterisk. The Council's realization that they need humans propels the story forward. Tight, propulsive, and layered. Let me know if you like any tweaks. The ocean swallowed Lien whole. Her makeshift submersible, a jury-rigged deep-sea exploration pod, groaned under the pressure as it plummeted toward the Mariana Trench. Outside the reinforced glass, the water darkened from twilight blue to abyssal black, punctuated only by the eerie glow of alien drones streaking past like falling stars. Their light pulsed in time with a signal from below, a rhythmic thrum that vibrated through the hull and settled in Lien's bones. She clenched the controls, her breath fogging the glass. The drones weren't attacking her. They were hurrying. Something down there was waking up. Above the waves, Elias Varga watched the Liberty burn. The deck tilted beneath him. The sea rise and claim what remained of his ship. His crew, though still alive, clung to life rafts, their faces streaked with soot and disbelief. They'd struck a god, and the god had flinched. Now, they were paying for it. Anya's voice crackled through his earpiece, sharp as a knife. "Varga, status." "We're sinking," he growled. "Where the hell is our backup?" A pause. Then quieter, "There isn't any." Elias spat into the water. Of course not. Governments had collapsed in hours. Chain of command was a myth. The only orders left were the ones you gave yourself. A shadow passed overhead. Not a drone, but a sleek, silver craft, its hull rippling like liquid metal. It hovered for a heartbeat, then shot toward the trench. Elias's blood ran cold. That wasn't one of theirs. And it wasn't one of the Armada's either. The Council's chamber was in chaos. Zelthra's gills flared as a new signal blared across the holograms. A ship unregistered, diving straight for the beacon. Who authorized that? Vor's claws flew over the console, pulling up identifiers. "No one. It's not ours." Crick snarled. "Then whose is it?" The answer came from the oldest among them, Archivizwax, his voice a dry rasp in the shadows. "The Devourers." Silence. Zwax limped forward, his carapace brittle with age. "That craft is a scout." The beacon's call reached beyond the system. The Devourers heard it. Zelthra's pulse pounded in his temples. The edict had been a warning, a quarantine, not just to keep the galaxy out, but to keep what was buried on Earth in, and humanity had been digging it up for fun. Lien's pod shuddered as it hit the trench floor. The drones had converged ahead, their light illuminating a structure half buried in the sediment. It wasn't alien. It was older. The ruins stretched into the darkness, a sprawling labyrinth of black stone and jagged arches, covered in carvings that made her eyes ache. The same symbols she'd seen in cave paintings, in Sumerian tablets, in every myth about gods and monsters. The signal pulsed from deep inside. Lien unsealed the pod, the pressure suit tight against her skin. She had to see, had to know, the water pressing around her as she stepped onto the ocean floor. The drones ignored her, too focused on the ruins, on something moving within them. Then the ground shook. Elias saw the wave before he heard the explosion. The ocean bulged, a massive dome of water, rising like a bubble before collapsing inward. The silver ship, the scout, shot out of the depths, spinning wildly. Behind it, the sea boiled. Anya's voice was a whip. "Varga, move!" He barely had time to shout a warning before the shockwave hit. The life rafts flipped. The world upended. Salt water filled his mouth, his lungs, his vision going dark. A hand grabbed his collar. He gasped as he was hauled onto a floating piece of wreckage, blinking up a figure in a sleek, unfamiliar suit. The visor slid back, revealing a face that was almost human. "Listen carefully," the stranger said, their voice layered with harmonics no human throat could make. "Your planet is a prison, and you just woke up the warden. Key elements achieved asterisk. Revelation asterisk the ruins and the scout ship reveal Earth's true purpose, a prison for the Devourers. Ticking clock asterisk the beacon's activation, and the Devourers' return escalate the threat exponentially. New player asterisk the stranger introduces a third faction, deepening the conflict. Cliffhanger asterisk the warden's awakening propels the story into the final act. Every line tightens a noose. Let me know if you like adjustments. Elias coughed up seawater, his body screaming as he rolled onto his back. The stranger loomed over him, their suits shimmering with a light that seemed to bend around them, as if reality itself hesitated to touch them. The face beneath the visor was human enough, sharp cheekbones, dark eyes, but the way they moved was all wrong. Too fluid, too precise. "You're not with the Armada," Elias rasped. The stranger's lips curled, revealing teeth filed to points. "No, we are what they fear." Above them, the sky had turned into a battleground. The Galactic Armada's ships wheeled like startled birds, their formations breaking as a silver scout craft darted between them, firing pulses of energy that dissolved hulls into glittering dust. But it wasn't the scout that froze Elias's blood. It was what rose behind it, a shape massive and jagged, breaching the ocean's surface like a leviathan from myth. The ruins, the prison, and something was climbing out. Lien ran. The carvings on the walls had begun to glow, the same sickly blue as the alien drones, pulsing faster now, louder like a heartbeat. The ground shook, sediment swirling as the ruins unfolded around her. She didn't understand the symbols, but she didn't need to. The message was clear in the way the water trembled, in the way the drones suddenly froze, then shattered, their lights snuffing out one by one. Something had answered the beacon, and it was hungry. In the council's chamber, Zelthra watched the feeds with all four eyes wide. The scout ship's attack was one thing, a rogue element manageable. But the readings from Earth's surface were impossible. Energy signatures spiking beyond measurement. Gravitational anomalies. Time anomalies. Vora's claws clacked against the console. The Devourer isn't just awake. It's calling the others. Crick snarled. Then we burn the planet now. While we still can. Zelthra rounded on him. And if the fire doesn't kill it? What then? A pissed-off Devourer loose in the galaxy? The chamber fell silent. ZYX's rasp cut through the quiet. There's another way. The hologram shifted, pulling up ancient texts, schematics older than the council itself. A weapon, not to destroy the Devourer, but to put it back to sleep. Vora's breath caught. The humans built it. The stranger dragged Elias to his feet. Listen to me, soldier. Your ancestors buried that thing. You have the key to do it again. Elias's head throbbed. What key? The same one they used last time. The stranger's grip tightened. Asterisk you. Asterisk. A roar split the sky. The thing from the trench was fully free now, a towering mass of shifting darkness, its form flickering between solid and smoke. Where it passed, the air itself seemed to tear, reality unraveling at the edges. The Armada's ships fired, useless. Their beams bent away, swallowed by the darkness. Anya's voice crackled over the comms, frantic. Varga, we've got a lock on your position. Get to the shore. Now. Elias turned back to the stranger. Why help us? The stranger's smile was all teeth. Because I hate jailers. Then they shoved him toward the wreckage of a speedboat and vanished into the chaos. Lien reached the heart of the ruins as the world came apart around her. The chamber was vast, the ceiling lost in shadow, the walls lined with more of those damn carvings. And in the center, a pedestal. On it, a device, small and unassuming, its surface etched with the same symbols as the walls. Human symbols. She reached for it. The ground lurched. The pedestal split open, and the device moved, unfolding like a flower, tendrils of light lashing out to wrap around her wrist. Pain seared up her arm, her vision whiting out. Then silence. The light faded. The device lay inert in her palm, and in her mind a voice, dry as dust. Welcome back, Keeper. Elias made it to shore just as the sky caught fire. The Devourer was growing, its form stretching upward, blotting out the sun. The Armada's ships were retreating, their weapons useless. Only the Silver Scout still fought, darting in and out like a wasp, but even it was losing ground. Anya grabbed Elias's arm, hauling him behind a crumbling seawall. We're out of time. He gripped her shoulder. Where's Lien? A rumble shook the earth. Then light, pure and white, erupted from the ocean. The beam speared upward, striking the Devourer dead center. The creature screamed, a sound that shattered glass for miles, its form writhing as the light wrapped around it, dragging it back toward the trench. On the shore, every screen, every phone, every dead piece of tech flickered to life, displaying a single word in 100 languages. Sleep. The Galactic Council watched, stunned, as the Devourer was pulled beneath the waves. The beacon signal cut off. The scout ship vanished, and Earth stood silent, whole and defiant. Zelthra exhaled. They did it! Crix's spines lay flat against his back. Now what? Vora's claws hovered over the comms. Now we ask nicely. Key elements achieved asterisk. Climax asterisk the Devourer's awakening, and subsequent re-imprisonment deliver the section's payoff. Character arcs asterisk, Elias embraces his role as a leader. Lien discovers her connection to the ancient tech. Mystery asterisk, the stranger's motives and identity remain tantalizingly unresolved. Hook asterisk, the Council's final line sets up the next phase, diplomacy or war. Taut, emotional, and packed with payoff. Let me know if you like any refinements